You, get in here. Have a seat. I don't care if you're hungover. Sit down. Don's about to talk to you. Let's get started. Now I know my place looks disheveled, but I've been doing some cleaning, doing some reorganizing, but that's beyond the fact. We got some stuff to talk about right now, kid. You doing okay? Of course you are. You're above ground, you're still breathing, hangover notwithstanding. Best of all, it's the first day of a new year. Even better, you're about to spend it with me, the gaming mobster, Screwface Capone. How lucky are you, kid? Alright, for those of you new to the channel, normally I like to cover indie games and I like to cover retro games. But every year around the same time, I do a list of 20 games I got my close eye on. And I usually set it to Mega Man music. Obviously there are more than 20 games because some just didn't make the cut. And as you'll see, I've got honorable mentions. And of course, who knows what else is going to be announced this year, or what else is going to come out that's going to take you by surprise. Last year we had games like Belotro, we had games like Sulaco, we had Astrobot, which won Game of the Year, and we had Black Myth Wukong. And who knows what we got planned, like what's going to come out this year that's going to blow everybody's mind. Already we got games like Avowed on deck. We got Ghost of Yotei. Maybe we might be hearing about that Wolverine game. Who knows? Paralives is going to be entering early access. So there's tons of great stuff on the way. So if you're a gamer, then you got a lot to look forward to this year. So we don't know how things are going to turn out because things in other parts of the world that we're not going to go over because we're not one of those channels. But what we do know is that we got a lot of games to look forward to. So with that said, we're going to hop right into it. We found out about this game during the Microsoft Game Showcase this past summer. Doom: The Dark Ages is a prequel that shows the origin of the Doomslayer as they're transported to a medieval world. The game will have a darker atmosphere than Doom Eternal, and the gameplay will involve heavy exploration. The game will feature all new weapons and enemies. The glory kills from Doom Eternal will return and will no doubt be bloodier than ever. Did I mention that players will also have the ability to ride dragons? I love Doom and Doom Eternal was lit, and no doubt this is going to be another banger. Of course, Xbox players can play it on Game Pass from day one. With an atmosphere described as Southern Gothic, South of Midnight was first revealed at the Xbox Game Showcase in 2023. And we saw more of its gameplay this past year. The game is developed by Compulsion Game, the makers behind Contrast and We Happy Few. South of Midnight will mark Compulsion's first release since Xbox Game Studios acquired them back in 2018. Taking place in a fantasy version of the American Deep South, players take the role of Hazel, a young woman who has become a weaver, which is a being that can wield magical power. Your goal is to rescue your mother and protect your hometown of Prospero after it was hit by a hurricane. Of course, since Hazel is a black woman, the usual suspects are out in force to complain about wokeness, but the rest of us don't give a rat's behind. The game has a unique art style that's reminiscent of stop-motion animation, and its southern folklore-inspired setting is also something you don't see in-game. So while the chuds are crying about CRT, Sweet Baby Inc., DEI, or whatever this week's buzzword is, gamers like myself will at the very least give this game a chance when it hits Xbox and PC later this year. And since it is a first-party Xbox Game Studios release, it'll hit Game Pass from day one. The long-awaited follow-up to 2020's incredible Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yotei is set to hit the PlayStation 5 sometime this year. Taking place 300 years after the events of the first game, Ghost of Yotei puts players in the role of Atsu. As the title suggests, the game takes place in the land surrounding Mount Yotei, in the region that's known in present-day Japan as Hokkaido. We haven't seen much of the story or gameplay besides the fact that there will be dual wielding in the game, but no doubt this is going to be a banger of a sequel. Of course, while there are certain people who are upset because of the game's lead character and voice actress, the rest of us are too busy waiting for this game to drop to care about what some incels think. If you like the last Ghost game, then you'll love Ghost of Yotei. I've been keeping up with the development of Paralives for years, ever since it was believed to be a pipe dream and people believed it to be little more than a tech demo when it was first announced. The game is finally set for early access release sometime this year. Paralives is a live sim with a focus on customization. Players can create their own characters, build their own houses, find jobs, and develop skills. The devs promise that there won't be any microtransactions or paid downloadable content, just free expansions. Not sure if or how this will work out. Do keep in mind that this is a small team, so when this does drop in early access, don't expect something on the level of a Maxis or an EA. Although that might be a good thing. With Life by You having been cancelled last year, and who knows what's going on with Enzoi, Lord knows that the genre could use some competition. Even outside of that aspect, it's great to see something new in the live sim genre. I can't wait to get my hands on this game. If you want to see what's going on with development, a link to the developer's Patreon is in the description. But even if you don't want to give money, there's plenty of video on YouTube where they show off everything about the game. The devs put a lot of time and dedication into this game, and I can't wait to get my hands on a finished product. Fireaxe's classic 4X strategy franchise returns this February, 9 years after the last entry, 2016's Civ 6. Civilization 7 will see a number of overhauls to the core gameplay. For one, there will be 3 ages this time: the Age of Antiquity, the Age of Discovery, and the Modern Age. At the end of each period, players can transition into a new civilization. New changes in terrain and elevation will alter the game's strategy, and the game's combat and tech trees will be streamlined. Some of the features from the Civilization 5 and 6 expansion packs will also be incorporated into the base game, such as religion and natural disasters. Players can also mix and match civilizations and leaders, so now they can have, say, Xerxes leading Britain, or Harriet Tubman leading ancient China. Oh yeah, that's right. The legendary abolitionist will be one of the leaders this time around. Some of these changes may turn off longtime fans, but you can't deny that Fireaxe is shaking things up. The goal here, according to them, is to keep players hooked from start to finish when playing a game. I'm looking forward to see how things turn out when the game comes out this February. No doubt I'm going to have that one more turn feeling all over again. Assassin's Creed Shadows, the latest entry in the Assassin's Creed franchise, will bring the series to feudal Japan for the first time. Playing as the samurai Yasuke, or the ninja assassin Naoe, you explore an open world Japan. As Yasuke, you take down enemies with your strength and swordsmanship, and as Naoe, you utilize stealth to take down your enemies. The game was delayed from its fall release date to add a co-op mode, but it won't be long before we get to experience the next chapter in the Assassin's Creed franchise. While I'm not too wild about Ubisoft products these days, The anti-woke crowd is wilding about this game, so you know it's going to be good. Normally, I avoid covering games I did on a previous list. This time, I'm going to break that rule. 1, it's my list, I'm the Don, so whatever I say goes. 2, the last time I looked at this game was back in 2021, and since then, there were so many changes made to the game that it might as well be a different title altogether. Bloodlines 2 is a sequel to the cult classic Bloodlines, which launched in 2004. When the game was first revealed, development was being handled by Hard Suit Labs, with Paradox handling the publishing duties. However, there was some drama during development, which led to several people being let go, including lead writer Brian Mitsoda, who wrote the last Bloodline. Eventually, it was announced by Paradox that Hard Suit Labs was no longer developing the game, and they were looking for a new developer to work on it. In September 2023, it was revealed that the Chinese Room, the team behind Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, Everybody's Going to the Rapture, and Dear Esther took over development, and they basically went back to the drawing board from everything from storyline, gameplay. The game still takes place in Seattle. However, instead of playing as a newly sired vampire, you play as a vampire elder. You determine their gender and appearance, and you can choose what clan they belong to, and this will affect your stats and abilities. You then get involved in a war between 3 factions. You can feed on humans and wield incredible powers, but you have to make sure there are no witnesses. Otherwise, you risk breaking a Masquerade. If you know anything about Vampire, you know there will be some repercussion. We haven't seen much of the game since the new reveal, so it will be interesting to see how the Chinese Room, a developer known for narrative-driven games, handles an RPG. This is new territory for them, and this is a follow-up to one of the most highly regarded games of the last 2 decades, so the pressure is on. Still, I'm excited to get my vampire on when this game finally drops later this year. Double Dragon Revived seems to be a 3D reimagining of the original Double Dragon, one of the forefathers of the beat-em-up genre. Once again, you take control of Billy and Jimmy Lee, along with additional playable characters as you take on the Shadow Warriors. In true brawler fashion, you have several moves that you can use to take on the enemies. Several classic enemies also make their return, among them being the machine gun wielding Willy, and everybody's favorite, a Bobo. I'm still not sure if I'm 100% on board with this game, but I like Double Dragon, so if it's cheap enough, I'll give it a shot. Capcom is back with another fighting game compilation, Capcom Fighting Evolution 2. While the previous game focused primarily on Darkstalkers, this one has a bit more variety. You get 8 classic fighting games in this package. There's Capcom vs. SNK Pro, Capcom vs. SNK 2, Power Stone 1 and 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, Project Justice, Plasma Sword, and Capcom Fighting Evolution. Okay, so it's sorta like 6 classic fighting games, 1 okay game, and 1 dreadful fighting game. I think I speak for the majority of the fan base when I say that we should swap out Capcom Fighting Evolution and replace it with the original rival schools. But you know what? We're getting modern ports of Capcom vs. SNK 2 and Project Justice, so I won't complain. At least the other 80% of the packages is on point. No doubt the games will feature online play and other quality of life features. I can't wait to play Capcom vs. SNK 2 and Project Justice again, at least while emulation, when this package drops later this year. HarperCollins and Gameloft, yes, that Gameloft, are teaming up to bring everyone's favorite Master Thief back to gaming. Only this time, you play as Carmen Sandiego. Players will travel throughout the world and track down vile operatives in a mixture of puzzle solving and platforming. The game will launch on the Netflix app first, then the PC, iOS, Android, and console. I can already hear people groaning at the concept of a mobile game, and yes, I would have liked to see a classic style Carmen Sandiego game. But from what the devs have shown on their website, it looks like the new game is going to combine the puzzle and platforming gameplay with the mechanics of the older games. So it looks like you'll explore each location looking for clues, and you'll have to piece together a warrant before you can capture the criminal. The game is set to hit the Netflix app in Q1 of this year, so we won't have to wait too long to check it out. The sixth mainline entry in the Gears series will be an origin story. Set 14 years before the original Gears of War, E-Day will feature series heroes Marcus and Dom, as the two of them, along with the rest of the world, experience the horror and tragedy of Emergence Day. For those of you unfamiliar with Gears of War, Emergence Day is the day when the Locust Horde first made its presence known. Whereas Gears 5 contained open world elements, E-Day will unfold in a more linear fashion, and its events will take place throughout the course of several days. The game will utilize Unreal Engine 5, and it will feature the cover-based gameplay that the series is known for. The game will also feature redesigns of classic Locust enemies, along with series weapons. While there's not much more we know about the game, including details on multiplayer, it's Gears of War, so we know it will look good. At the least, this will keep us tied over until Gears 6, which developers The Coalition assures us is still in development. As this is a first-party Xbox Game Studios game, you can play it from day one on Game Pass. We're going to switch things up a bit with an indie game you might not have heard of. Vice Undercover, developed and published by Ancient Machine, takes place in an alternate version of the 80s where the internet is more widespread and available than it was back then. In this world, criminal enterprises make use of it to run their operation. Playing as Agent Vita, you go undercover to infiltrate one of these enterprises. For 1 hour each day, you gain access to their computer running the Amiga OS. Your morals will be put to the test, as you'll need to do things to maintain your cover while still gathering intel. The game's look and aesthetic is inspired by the 80s, so no doubt you'll find synthwave music, neon lights, and homages to classic 80s crime TV. I live streamed the demo during the Steam Next Fest a few years ago, and the game was tense yet engaging. Hopefully the full game keeps up that same energy when it drops later this year. In development by Fumi Games and being published by PlaySide, Mouse is a first-person shooter with visuals inspired by classic 1930s cartoons. In fact, this gives off the vibes of an FPS Cuphead. Playing as war hero turned private investigator Jack Pepper, you get caught up in a plot that takes you throughout the city of Mouseburg and its seedy, corrupt criminal underbelly. With black and white hand-drawn graphics, zany animated characters, and a retro jazz soundtrack, Mouse is bringing something new and unique to the boomer shooter genre. Let's hope the gameplay matches up. If it does, this could be a sleeper hit of 2025. One of the OGs of the fighting game genre, Fatal Fury, is finally returning this spring. Old fighters such as Terry Bogard, Rock Howard, and Mai Shimaranu, and Ken and Chun-Li from Street Fighter, return to do battle across several game modes in the War for Southtown. Among these new game modes is an RPG-like mode called Episodes of Southtown, where you take a fighter, build up their experience, and learn new skills. It almost reminds me of the World Tour mode in Street Fighter Alpha 3. You also have an online mode, versus mode, and an arcade mode where you experience the game's story. The game also contains a clone mode, which uses AI to create a clone of your playstyle, which you can then fight against yourself or pit against other players. Like Samurai Showdown 2019 and King of Fighters 15, the game will utilize Unreal Engine 4. City of Wolves marks the first new Fatal Fury game since 1999's Garo Mark of the Wolves, and this game came out over 2 decades ago. Without a doubt, fans of fighting games, particularly SNK titles, Can't wait to play this one when it comes out this April. Judas is a narrative-driven first-person shooter that's developed by Ghost Story Game. Ghost Story is an all-new studio headed by Ken Levine and staffed by former members of Irrational Games, whom you know from BioShock. You play as Judas, a young woman stuck aboard the deteriorating space station, the Mayflower. You'll have to juggle alliances with various figures in order to survive and escape. From what we've seen so far, the game will feature special abilities that can be used in combat, and there will be a lot of exploration. No doubt fans of past Irrational games such as BioShock and System Shock are going to feel right at home when this game comes out later this year. Playground Games, the studio behind the Forza Horizon series, is switching gears, no pun intended, and handling the upcoming reboot to the classic Xbox action RPG series, Fable. Not a whole lot about the gameplay has been revealed, but we do know that the game will be an open world action RPG like its predecessors. We also know that the game will feature the series' trademark humor, as evidenced by the trailer, which featured British comedian Richard Ayoade, and I know I butchered that name. With both Avowed and Outer Worlds 2 also on deck for this year, the Xbox platform is looking like the place to be if you want some quality RPG. Here's hoping that the success that Playground Games has with the Forza Horizon games can translate to a different genre. We'll find out for sure when the game launches later this year. Possibly the most anticipated game ever, Grand Theft Auto 6 is on deck for later this year. The game takes place in Vice City, in the fictional state of Leonida, which is inspired by Miami, Florida. Players will take control of Lucia and her partner as they get involved in various criminal activities. From what we've seen about the game, it will feature a satire of social media and internet culture. Rockstar has been tight-lipped about the game since the trailer that was shown back in 2023, but no doubt we'll learn more about the game as we approach its fall release. It's been 12 years since GTA 5 released back in 2013, and no doubt the pressure is on to make sure this game can match up to it. I can't wait to head back to Vice City. I can't wait to see what Rockstar has in store. Grand Theft Auto isn't the only crime video game that Take-Two Interactive is putting out this year, as the Mafia series makes its big return. Developed by Hangar 13, Mafia: The Old Country is a prequel to the series. The game is set in Sicily in the 1900s. Players take the role of Enzo Favre as he puts in work for the Torrisi crime family. The game will be linear, which is in contrast to Mafia 3's open world. We'll learn more about the game throughout the year. The game's unique setting and themes help it stand out, and the trailer looks gorgeous. Hopefully, the gameplay and story will measure up, and if they do, this could be another sleeper hit this year. Marvel 1943: Rise of Hydra is developed by Skydance New Media, which is a new studio that's headed by former Naughty Dog writer Amy Hennig. Powered by Unreal Engine 5, the game takes place during World War II. Players take the role of Captain America, the Black Panther Azuri, who is T'Challa's grandfather, Howling Commando Gabriel Jones, and Nanali, the head of the Wakandan spy network. Together, the heroes battle against Hydra and they try to liberate and occupy France. They also have to stop the terrorist organization from obtaining a powerful artifact. We haven't seen much in the way of gameplay. While the tech does look nice, the gameplay is going to be what makes or breaks this game. Still, I love Marvel and I get to punch Nazis, so how can I not be excited about this game? So we're going to learn more about the game throughout the year, and let's hope the gameplay lives up to the promise. Metroid Prime 4 was announced all the way back in 2017 and has been without a doubt one of the most anticipated titles on the Switch. However, with the Switch 2 all but confirmed, this could very well be the last big game release on the original Switch. Part of me wonders if they'll go the Breath of the Wild route and make it a launch window title for the Switch too, similar to how that game was originally set for Wii U, but eventually made into a launch title for the original Switch. So we have yet to see anything of the game as far as gameplay. Development got back on track a few years ago when Retro Studios, the developers behind the original Metroid Prime trilogy, were brought on board to replace Namco Bandai, who was originally handling development of the game. Hopefully it won't be long before Nintendo shows this off in a direct or something. See? Told ya. What did I tell ya? Tons of great games coming out this year. If you're a gamer, I guarantee there's going to be something for everybody. I guarantee that you're going to find something out there that's coming out this year that you love. Whether it's from the AAA space, the indie space, or somewhere in between. Maybe even your mobile device, who knows. Like, there is a ton of great stuff. Some of the stuff I didn't even mention, like the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, Borderlands 4, Death Stranding 2. Not sure if I put those in honorable mentions as of right now. But it's a ton of great stuff that's coming out this year. Matter of fact, I have a feeling that this is probably going to be one of the best years in gaming. On that note, if you made it this far, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go to the comments and drop the name of what game you're looking forward to the most. It doesn't matter if I covered it or not. Just whatever that's coming out that you can't wait to get your hands on. For me, I don't know if I can answer that right now. I just went through 20 games, by the way. So, give me your answer. Anyway, enough of that. Like I said in the intro, I like to cover tech, I like to cover indie games, and I like to cover retro games. You come to this channel, you'll see anything from a live stream, which I promise to do more of, maybe a documentary, maybe I'll do a review, maybe I'll do a trailer reaction, or maybe I'll do another list just like the one you just went through. But whatever it is, it's going to be game related. And if that sounds good to you and you want to join the Mafia, all you got to do is hit that big red subscribe button. That way, I'll make you a made man. If you want to do me one better, what I want you to do is hit that bell icon. That way, whenever I drop new content, you'll be the first to know about it. I got one video that's already on the way. I was trying to get it up like around Christmas, but I just didn't have the time. But that's coming up pretty soon, and you'll see what it is. Anyway, enough of that, though. I want to thank you guys for a great 2024. It's been a year of ups and downs. For the down part, I had to spend some time unemployed again. But on the up part, I got married, I got a new job, and of course, I saw a lot of upward mobility on the channel. So I'm always great with that. The one thing that keeps me going is knowing that there are people out there who are watching these videos and enjoying them. Like the likes, the comments, the shares. Just people keep even coming across them. Even a random cat that tries to come through and be snarky, because in the case of YouTube and the algorithm, all engagement is good engagement. And of course, there's a lot of crap that's going out in the real world. Who's backing off. I ain't going to speak too much on that because this ain't that kind of channel. One thing I will speak on is like this year we had an uptick in the whole, the usual suspects. I don't need to mention to you because I have a feeling you already know who I'm talking about. But they're not really worth speaking on because all they care about is their likes, their engagement. All they are is just tourists who don't even play the games they complain about. They just come and whine about wokeness or whatever. We gonna leave those guys behind in 2024. What the Mafia is about is gaming. We like games, we play video games, we celebrate video games. On here, the Don talks about what he loves. And if you're about video games too, that's why you're rocking with the Don. So again, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button and we'll go into 2025 and we'll keep celebrating video games, we'll keep enjoying video games, and we'll keep playing video games. But in the meantime, because I'm starting to sound a bit preachy, thank you for watching. Welcome to 2025. Until next time, I'm Audi 51000G.